Welcome into Rounding the Bases.
Round the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg. It's around the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Rounding the Bases, presented by Community America Credit Union, investing in you. Shout out, as always, to my friends at Chief of Staff Kansas City. Whether you're in Kansas City like me, or you're, say, in Cincinnati like my guest today, or anywhere around the country, Chief of Staff Kansas City is an incredible company. If you're looking for a job, if you're looking to hire someone, if you're looking for a resource, there's a reason why I partner with them. Great people. They get it. So check them out, chiefofstaffkc.com, making connections that matter. I'm excited about my connection today because, as I so often say, this podcast is not necessarily about sports. It's oftentimes not. And I'm not sure that today's podcast is a sports episode. It's more, I think, about entrepreneurship. And yes, it involves sports as well, and so much more. I love unique stories, unique companies like this. And so I'm really excited to bring you today's guest. You've heard of raising the roof, but today we're raising the floor. Joining me is the sports magnate dedicated to making it happen. Also, he can share the rich history of athletic greatness with fans around the world. His name is Chris Rose, founder and managing partner of Artsman. This first of its kind enterprise brings you stories from behind the court of basketball's most iconic programs, creating something that's bigger than memorabilia. It's an opportunity to own a piece of history itself and keep the thrill of victory for generations to come. I think in a day and age, in a world of memorabilia, it's hard to stand out. And this is really, truly unique. And so I'm joined by Chris from Cincinnati. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing great, Joel. And I got to tell you, that was a very inspiring intro, man. I like your, I love the music. I love everything about it. It's very cool.
Thanks. I appreciate it. We're recording this a little bit before. By the time it airs, I'll have seen you in Cincinnati as the Royals, as we're recording this, are getting ready to head to Cincinnati. So I'm excited about that because I don't get there enough. But of course, you get all over the place around the country. And I'll talk more about Artsman in a moment, because as I just said, I mean, memorabilia is easy to get now. You get online and find stuff, and the amount of the card collecting right now is such a big thing again, and I see it everywhere we go all over the country. But I know that you've come up with something truly unique. Before we talk about Artsman, I want to go back to your background and how this all began. How did you get into this world and hone your craft?
So great question. So we, I've been an industrial designer. That's what I was formerly trained in. And, my background is kind of unique in the fact that I worked for a bunch of different firms in New York City and went to college in Philadelphia and grad school. And it was a lot of, sports has always been a part of my life. I've always loved it. And, they say that, people should always, especially when they're entrepreneurs, they should design their life the way that that what inspires them, what grows passion, right? And so playing sports and being around sports my whole life, obviously I wanted to have ultimately a career kind of working with sports teams and sports entities. And so this manifested about 8 years ago. So I took a lot of my history and what I had done in branding and product design and museum design from my past and marketing, and turned it into this company. About 8 years ago, we happened to approach a group locally here in Cincinnati that makes basketball floors. And, we went to them to source wood, to make furniture for teams or conferences at a lower level, kind of like man cave kind of furniture and kind of stuff. And we had a really great conversation with them. And at that meeting, they said, "Hey, would you guys ever want to work with game used floor?" And we said, "Well, that would be great, but how do you source it? How do you do it? Like, how do you get to that moment?" And the meeting concluded. Things were really they went well. And then 2 weeks later, by chance, the Cleveland Cavaliers won the 2016 NBA championship. And Dan Gilbert is kind of a visionary owner of that team. He called this company that makes their basketball court, and they said, "Hey, we want you to chop this thing up into 20,000 pieces. We want to share it with the fans." And they're like, "Well, we can't do that." So they immediately called us and they said, "Would you guys be interested in doing this?" We said, "Sure."
we can do that.
We can do it. Of course we can. So, luckily for me at that time, I had a great partnership group at that point, and a lot of those guys have since moved on. I can talk about that if you want to, but we had marketing, product design skills, everything. So we quickly started designing product, and we kind of put our best foot forward. Gave them some designs within a week. They loved them. Worked through some details. That was an interesting journey, by the way. We received the report, we put it in storage, worked out the contract deals, and we only had 4 months to produce, I don't know, about 25,000 pieces. And so we didn't, we never deconstructed a court before. Luckily, my other business that I had at the time, we had all the skills, we had all the machinery that we applied to something else, right? So we got it in. We started curating the court, which is managing the court from which panel goes where, what kind of products we can design for this, that, or anything else. And so they really enjoyed the thought process. And so we knew we were onto something, and so before we started cutting, interestingly enough, Dan Gilbert received the new floor replacement for that floor, and the team, the citizens of Cleveland, hated the new design, and because he omitted the skyline that was painted on the floor, and it was such an eruption of fan discontent that we had to ship the floor back to them. So they had to use it for 30 days through the preseason. Well, they sent away the new court, got it repainted and added the city skyline back in. So then now our timeline is even more compressed. So luckily we didn't start cutting into that floor because it would have been a disaster, right? So they got it. We got the floor. Eventually, the Cleveland Indians were in the middle of the playoffs of the World Series. The Republican National Convention was happening at the exact same time. They snuck the floor out like in the middle of the night, and we got it, and we started dismantling it the next day. And so we started cutting and chopping, and we made a bunch of stuff ourselves. We shipped a bunch of stuff off to Asia to have it manufactured. And then we had to air freight everything back in. We got it in Cleveland the first week of December, and they sold a ton of product. And it was like, we're like, oh my God, this is great. Everybody's happy. We're happy. All right, where's the next court coming from? And so I kind of worked a lot of business development angles. We somehow secured the North Carolina National Championship court the next year based on what we had done. Then we did some smaller schools. It was for 6 years. It was a heavy lift because we were really working hard to prove to teams and schools that we could do this. There was like a value add. Like if you share this experience with your fans, have fan engagement, you can also create a lot of products for donor programs, for internal programs, for corporate sponsorship. And that started kind of gelling and really kind of coming into focus over the past couple of years. Now we have cut up every single national championship court since then, with the exception of Villanova. They didn't do it for whatever reason, which is fine. In the past 3 years, we've cut up the 3 women's national championship courts. And, so over time, we started getting the NBA, even though we did a local sponsorship license deal with Cleveland, the NBA still wasn't quite sure who we were or what our angle was or what we were doing. And over time, I would go to the NBA every year at the National Sports License Tailgate Show and said, "Hey, we're Artsman. Can you give us a break? Can you let us in?" And the first year, the guy's like, "Hey, this is kind of cool. Let's see if you can come in next week and or next year, and if you can, that would be if you're still here and you're still doing stuff, we'll help you, right?" And then so I came the next year, and they're like, "Hey, this is much better. You guys are doing really good, but we're not ready for you yet." So the third year I came, same guy was at the booth, and he goes, "You're still here. You're not going away, are you?" And I go, "No, I'm not." And he goes, "All right." So he put us in touch with their incubator unit at the NBA. We formed a partnership with them. And since then, we've been developing the program for the NBA and really doing business development for the NBA. And so we cut up the Milwaukee Bucks national championship court. We got the Brooklyn Nets as a client. We have all the all-star courts. And so systematically, we've been getting more and more NBA teams as well as NCAA teams and building the program, refining the program. And now we're kind of leading the charge for the NBA globally on doing this program called NBA Reclaimed.
What a journey. I mean, I gonna assume that on day one, as you're going through all this stuff with the Cleveland court and double used, really, I guess. I mean, you came back for more use. I mean, there's a story to that. That's the cool thing about all of this, is that they're unique stories to all of it. But I can't imagine that on day one you expected it to turn into this, or you don't really know where it's going to go. And then you start seeing some of the light at the end of the tunnel and seeing how it's going to work. I think the most fascinating thing, Chris, about this is not just hey, we have a piece of used court. I mean, how many times in the course of sports history you say we've got some dirt from the infield, or we've got some grass from this field, or we've got a piece of a court. It's not just, hey, here's a piece of wood from Allen Fieldhouse. You're suddenly looking at a pendant or some kind of gift of unique piece of art that has a little bit of fill in the blank arena's floor on it. Tell me about some of the unique designs for some of these places, because it's not just something that, and some of it's not just something that you hang in your man cave or that you put in your sports room. It can be, but it also could be so much more. To me, that the creativity is really interesting.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. We have about 45 standard products that we make out of the basketball court, and honestly, it's kind of endless. And I kind of go back, and what's really important to me, and all the collectors out there, and is, and I believe this to my core, is like, and basketball is the one sport that over all the other ones where all the memories and all the history is stored on top of that maple wood, right? And and so even though it might get refinished from time to time and a new paint scheme put on it, it's the same wood, and so that last second shot, that the buzzer beater, the special moments in the paint, they're all stored there. And in baseball, dirt and grass is cut, moved away, replaced. Same with football, ice melts in hockey, and it's always replaced. And then so from a memory perspective, it's the one sport that really holds all those memories in that court, and from beginning to end. And when I see people touch it and connect with it, and so this is a piece from the Final Four, and was this 2021. So this is Baylor's national championship court that they did. So this is what we call a mini court. The back has, it talks about their journey right here, and I think here, let me see, I've got one. This is, all right, so this is the Kansas Jayhawk, right? This is the Final Four court they won on, their national championship floor, right? So when people connect with this, they really say, it says, I was here. And then in our certificate of authenticity, we tell exactly where that piece came from on the court. So like it's an added level of authenticity. And we are very careful about making sure that that piece came from that spot.
You have to.
You have to.
It's your credibility.
Right. Exactly. And when people realize that it's from there, it makes it even more special for them. So it's really cool. Like, yeah, I love it. Go ahead.
No, I just like some of this stuff is so interesting, and I'll let people know too. And I'm happy to give this free plug. Artsmansport.com. We'll have it in the show notes, and I know a lot of my audience is KU, K-State. A lot of my local audience, KU, K-State, Mizzou, some Iowa State, Oklahoma State, all the great stuff in this region. So, you'll need to get on your schools to get them working with Artsman. But yeah, I know you guys have KU as a client. I think you have Illinois as a client, which I'm not getting any Illinois stuff. I went to Wisconsin, so no apologies there. But I know we've got a lot of KU fans. It's so like some of this stuff is so interesting, and I'm curious just how you came up with some of these ideas. They're easy to piece together now that you see them, right? I mean, once it comes to fruition, oh yeah, that's an interesting gift. That's something really unique. But I mean, we're talking about cufflinks with a piece of the 2022 national championship floor on there from KU's title, and everything from an ornament to plaques to pendants to desk frames to on and on and on. What was that process like, Chris, as you're brainstorming, maybe still brainstorming ideas? Or does it come from within you and your people? Is it hearing from fans that say, boy, I'd really love whatever it might be, and the challenge of making that happen? Take me through that thought process.
So yeah, a lot of it is a lot of the basic products come from internal. A lot of it comes from just looking at the market, what the market is there doing right now, how people collect, and then to your point, a lot of it is actually listening to people and and responding to, demand and wants. It comes down to lifestyle and how people want to, and also collectability. So like when we have, what's collectible, what's not collectible, if you're a fan of KU, and you want to start collecting, so like this is from their national championship floor. So like it's just what we call a wood block, and it comes directly from the floor. But if you are a collector and you want to start collecting all the wood blocks that we own, which is like 40 teams now, then you can collect one of each of those, and you can start that collection, because eventually there's certain scarcity in the market that eventually these will all be gone. And when we run through a court and the court's gone, we don't always get the entire court. Sometimes we only get portions of the court, or they have to resurface the court and they can't afford to give us the whole thing. So in those cases, we'll work with the manufacturer to put new panels in and fill in the blanks for what was taken out, so that they can do a program. And so product development, back to your point, product development is a journey. So like when we developed golf putters, they're very cool. Like I could tell you, like when people pull a golf putter out of a bag, and these are PGA certified golf putters, like, and they're weighted beautifully, they putt incredibly, they absolutely help my game. There's no doubt about it, which needs all the help in the world. But like, but when we, when you pull it out, it's something special. Everybody always asks me when I pull a putter out of my bag, they're like, "Where'd you get that from?" I'm like, most of the time they know, because we're friends. But like, but at the same time, I've gotten a lot of feedback from that. When I know you hate this, so like, here's the.
I really don't. I'm okay.
But like this pendant, it's for women. Women make a lot of the buying decisions, and so we wanted to make sure that we and there's a lot of women who are absolute insane fans about basketball and their school and their alma mater and their teams. We do bow ties. Those aren't on our website right now, but we do a lot of bow ties for coaches and for staff. And, but then we've done things like we do a lot of installations in arenas. We do a lot of installations in people's homes. We did a big auction. Auction services is one of the things that we provide. So we auction off large, unique portions of the court for teams. And so we just did one for UConn from their Gamble Pavilion court that they won 16 national championships on, right? And so people would convert those to the craziest tables, conference tables, dining tables, bed frames. This one guy did a huge logo across his back wall, and then he ordered 3 pieces of furniture and a serving tray with that he puts on top of that. So like he's a super fan, but I'm amazed by some of the things that people ask us to do sometimes, and it's fun, So we try to do as much as we possibly can.
I got to imagine too the it's not really renewed. I know that the diehard fans of women's sports, specifically college basketball, will let you know that they've been there forever. I mean, I think that's one of the most dedicated fan bases. That fan base, in large part, due to Caitlin Clark. And I would argue that in large part due to just the high level of competition. Some of the, there are just some juggernaut teams out there, not just, UConn, but the South Carolinas, the LSUs, has made for really intriguing basketball, and the nation seems to be paying attention. Has that helped with some of this interest too? Because now suddenly, you and I were talking before we went on the air, and the portal has really, really jacked up a lot of college sports.
Yeah.
It feels to me like a lot of people are gravitating towards women's college basketball. Yes, in part because of what Caitlin Clark did, but it seems like maybe there's some more stability there, a lot of loyalty there too. Has that affected business?
It really has. I mean, we've seen sales on the women's Final Four products go up considerably, and if we were to look at some of the demographic of our buyers, a lot of them are women, and women, mothers of students, and they understand, what it's like to have that loyalty, not just to for them as a fan, but also making sure their kids also show that pride and that loyalty. And I've got 6 kids, and I do it, for my kids too. I want them to show the loyalty in their teams and make sure that they kind of support what they do. But, for all those Caitlin Clark fans out there, they can buy wood that she played on from the past 2 national championships. And unfortunately they didn't win, but what she's brought to the sport, has been unbelievable. And from an awareness perspective, and the WNBA is so happy that she had her meteoric rise to the top, because their attendance levels are through the roof, to the point now where the WNBA is now coming to us and saying, can you do programs for us?
Very cool. Very cool. Incredible growth there. Okay, I want to get to my baseball themed questions, and then we'll wrap it up with a bunch of final fun questions as we round the bases. But in terms of this career and this incredible growth, and who knows where it's going, what's the biggest home run that you've hit professionally?
Biggest home run professionally, besides this, you want my proudest moment?
Yeah, sure.
All right. My proudest moment is I was one of the 2 designers on the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And I got to put my dad's face on that wall.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this was this before?
This is before
Artsman?
This is a long time ago. This is when I worked in New York City for a museum designer, and that's my proudest moment. Being able to put his face, and I got to put his face on like 3 times. So it was cool.
It's interesting because, I mean, I'm sure every one of the projects that you're working on now, and for everyone that works on them, they have little personal touches, right? I mean, and maybe they end up mattering more to the buyer and it becomes sentimental. I mean, that's the beauty of this journey, but I think it's really interesting. I would think that just to work on a project like you just referenced, even if it did not have personal meaning involving your dad, we're talking about something that is going to affect millions of people that watch that, or that not watch but come and see it, right? That come and visit. To have your dad's face on there, to have that extra level of personal touch is something you'll never lose.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, but that same feeling honestly translates into this. Like, I mean, this equally, brings so much happiness and joy to my life. Like, and being on your show and educating people and very happy to be here. And it's like, bringing such joy to fans is really cool. There's such passion, not just around making the product, with all the team people that are here, but also like all the stories we hear back, from, oh my God, we got the cufflinks in time for my son's wedding and he wore them, and it was very cool. And this is the best Christmas present we've ever had, the best Father's Day present we've ever had. And, I can't, it's that connection, it's like it means so much to so many people, and at the end of the day, there's value to it. There's intrinsic value and there's monetary value to these things. And we're really fortunate and really happy. It's been a long, hard journey to get here. And I'll tell you, it doesn't come without fortitude and sacrifice, but the people that are on this journey with me, they have risen and they have sacrificed too. So it's, and they believe in it. And so it's, this is, all these things are made with passion and love. I can tell you that.
I've no doubt. And that's one of the many elements that make this unique. How about when you're talking about fortitude? Fortitude means that there are a lot of swings and misses along the way. There are tough moments. Give me a swing and a miss along the journey that stands out to you.
Swing and a miss. My brain's not wired that way, but I can. I try to shove those down in the basement a little bit. But I'd say a swing and a miss would be, we had a really good opportunity with Major League Baseball that we just weren't prepared for, and that was just kind of like an internal kind of glitch, because I would have liked to have gone in that direction as well, and I'm hoping to recover that one at some point in time. They've got I think that Major League Baseball does an amazing job, but so I'd say that was probably the big swing and a miss.
Yeah, I would, I may ask you a little bit more about this a little bit later, but there are so many elements you can do, I would think, with baseball. Not so much the field and grass, but my goodness, everything. In my role as the in-game reporter and sitting right by the dugout, oftentimes by the authenticator, there's more stuff coming in with bats and balls and on and on.
It's crazy, right? Yeah, they do a great job.
Yeah, it is a well-oiled machine in terms of the way they're collecting all that. My last baseball themed question is about small ball, the little things that add up to big results. And you and I are both in smaller baseball markets. I've said for a long time, teams like the Reds, teams like the Royals, they have to do the little things right if they want to be able to compete with the Yankees, with the Dodgers. And I think that's true for entrepreneurship. That's true for business as well. And they don't always show up, but about them behind the scenes. What is small ball to you? What are the little things that make you and Artsman successful?
I'd say probably how we articulate and translate the story to the buyer, all the little details, and recognizing an opportunity and then acting on it. So for instance, we are working very closely with a group called Sequoia Gaming to bring an additional level of authenticity to each piece that we make through blockchain certificates of authenticity, where we're going to start adding that to every product we do. And so in doing that, people can register their product like a car title, and we can communicate with them around the world, and I'm really excited about this. And so, and then when they sell it, if they sell it, they can transfer that title to the new buyer. And, then we can speak to them. We can give them offers. We can give them added history, and then we're actually working on developing like augmented reality as part of an app, so when you pull this out, there's going to be a chip in the bottom, and then through your phone or goggles, you can actually see the arena come out around it.
Wow.
Players playing on it. Like, so that famous moment or something that happened. So that's kind of like the subtlety and details that really adds a lot and differentiates us from, the Fanatics of the world. Like, it's funny, Fanatics is a $36 billion company. And I think that they do a great job. They've cornered the market in so many areas, but it turns out that they can't do what we do. And, it's funny that way.
You got that niche and that expertise in it. And I want to wrap things up with 4 final questions as we round the bases. That we were briefly referenced baseball and your at least initial interest in that and renewed interest and long-term interest, future interest, I guess I should say, in that. How much have you thought about other sports? Because I think the beauty of this is that none of it's defined, right? I mean,
right.
Okay, there's not a basketball court, it's grass, it's dirt, but yet there's so many elements to me that make baseball unique in a different way than any other sport. It's not just a standard basketball court in terms of size. It's not your standard ice sheet. It's not your standard football stadium. Every one of these stadiums are designed differently with different dimensions. And that to me is the beauty of traveling around the country and seeing that no one stadium really is the same. Maybe the cookie cutters, right, back in the days of Busch Stadium and Veterans Stadium and on and on and on. Those days are over right now. How much are you thinking big about those other sports?
Pretty big, actually. And we've been working on other projects that actually takes us out of basketball. So we have cut up bench seats from Memorial Stadium in Nebraska. We've cut up the. I know you're going to hate this, but we've cut up the goal line for Ohio Stadium at Ohio State.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, you don't like that. Yeah, I don't like it either, by the way. And
that's all right.
Yeah, we're on the same page there. So then we're cutting up the wrestling mats right now for Penn State University because they've won 6 national championships out of 8 years. And so they've got an insane fan base there. And they came to us. They said, hey, you do this better than anybody else. Will you cut this up? And we've cut up lacrosse nets for Virginia and made memorabilia out of that. I look at it as material, and I look and it's an artifact, right? And so how do we take the artifact and just translate that? So strangely enough, we can do it for wrestling mats the same we can do it for wood. So it's kind of cool. And I happen to meet one of the guys from the NFL. He asked us if we would do this for the NFL at some point. I said, I'd love to, because I'm a huge NFL fan, so it's, there's one, I'm getting back to your last point real fast. Mm-hmm. Small market teams, Reds, Royals, you guys are doing better than we are right now. We've got a passionate manager in David Bell, but it's all about inspiring, right? How do you inspire those players to do better than the Yankees? There's passion on small market teams and there's complacency on big budget, large market teams, and if you can't take advantage of that, and then you can't take advantage of anything. So we're middle of the road. You guys are going to do much better than we are this year. So,
well, we're happy to be in that position. No doubt about it. All right. Second question, as we round the bases, and I'm going to guess that some of your artwork maybe is on display. I don't know. I'm going to go check it out. Tell me about the Sinners and Saints Tavern in Cincinnati.
So we actually just rebranded. It's called Home Court Tavern, and I'm gonna
change names.
Yeah, we changed names because we wanted to bring it a little bit closer together with Artsman, what we do here, and so a lot of people thought we were a biker bar originally. So we kind of wanted to bring it more towards the basketball side of things. So the bar top is made out of UC's basketball court. All the tabletops are all made out of championship basketball courts. Like you could eat on the table that Kobe won 5 NBA titles on. The Cleveland court, the Brooklyn Nets inaugural court, NCAA championship court. So like people call us and they say, hey, can I eat at that table or this table or that table? We're like, yeah, sure. And so the reason why we opened this bar in the first place was, one, a pilot to see whether that would work. And two, to I think that basketball is absolutely the one sport of all the other sports that does the best job of merging fashion, music, culture, and sport together as one. And I don't think any sport does it as well as basketball does. And so I kind of wanted that front-facing place so that people could come and they could have a burger on it. They could have a beer. They could have a bourbon on it. They could, or whatever they want, and like really kind of infuse that together. So that was the whole reason behind that whole thing. The bar industry is, at the end of the day, I woke up and then I was a bar owner. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. But,
yeah, that's tough profession, but I will come support when we're in Cincinnati. No doubt about that. So
if the Royals win, then I'll buy you a drink. If the Reds win, then you buy me a drink.
All right, fair enough. I'm in on that.
Either way, so it doesn't really matter. So
all right, I can't lose. Third question, as we round the bases, I'll ask it in two ways. I always say, like, this is like asking who your favorite child is, and that's not easy. And I understand you've got a lot of kids too, but I wouldn't make you pick if you had two of them. But do you have either a favorite? That's the hard part. Or not a favorite, a most unique request in terms of an item over the years with Artsman?
We have so many unique historical, like, item or team, like a team.
Yeah, just something that was requested, or something, something that you love doing, or something that was requested. Maybe you couldn't do it. I don't know. Something you'd say, wait a minute, that's a little bit too crazy.
So like about 5-6 years ago, we were on the product side. One of the members of Dan Gilbert's family called us up and said, hey, could you make a bow tie out of wood? We'd never done it before. They go, the draft lottery is in 8 days. I don't know if you can do it or not. And we're like, oh crap. And apparently Dan Gilbert's son, who passed away recently, who was the child that pulled the ball out to get LeBron James. I think it's Nick Gilbert. He was, kind of like, he became that showpiece for the family and making the Cavaliers a family thing. So I said, we'll give it a shot. So we made 8 bow ties for the family that they wore on stage for that draft lottery. And we embroidered each of their names on the side. And then he had a saying on the other side that we embroidered that he used to say, what's not to like, and we did each bow tie with the traditional, we picked a perfect part of the floor where we had gold, wine, and navy. So it went across it, and so it went over really well. So that was like a really special moment where we actually got to respond. We did it. They loved it, and then they wore it at the draft lottery. So that was a really cool product. And I'd probably, for a team side, you always remember your first, right? So like, but Cleveland's special. But I got to tell you, getting the Jerry West Virginia court was really special too, because that's just a moment of history where both leagues kind of merged together. Like, since everybody knows him as the logo man.
Yeah.
And I do have one very, very special thing to tell Kansas fans that is going to be coming up. We're in negotiations with getting the first ever approved Dr. Naismith court that he was first approved on when he invented the game of basketball. And that was it was in Kansas at what they call Robinson Arena. It was a small gym. And so the very, very first basketball court ever approved, we will be working with that person to bring that to life here.
Super cool, and that will get a lot of buzz here in my neck of the woods, no doubt about it. And so we'll keep our eyes open for that. Speaking of my neck of the woods, and we'll wrap it up with this. This has to be somewhat painful for you that you, I understand, have, or maybe it can't be painful, really, that you have
painful. This has been easy.
yeah. Well, okay, but you have a unique Travis Kelce piece of memorabilia, which I'm sure in your head you think about.
Did you see that? You know what I'm talking about?
I've heard about it, and I'm just thinking that as a Bengals fan, you're focused on Travis Kelce, the Cincinnati Bearcat, not Travis Kelce, the 3-time Super Bowl winner.
Yeah, the Bearcat. So I was at a trade show. I was at a trade show years ago, and this is back when Lego was giving out licenses there's one company that was an official licensee of Lego called Oyo, and they were doing individual collegiate players. And so he gave me a couple of these Travis Kelce Cincinnati Bearcat Lego figurines, and I put it on my shelf. I never thought about it again, and then all of a sudden I looked over. I was like, one day I was like, holy crap, it's probably worth something. And they were prototypes. They weren't, I don't think they were ever put into production.
Pretty cool. Now you need to be able to, this is personal stuff, right? But you need to be able to get the matching Taylor Swift figurine if there's such a thing. And well, there's a million things.
If I could only have a Taylor Swift Lego figurine to put next to it, that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, and then you could retire basically with that. Yeah. Her name on it. So.
Put it on eBay, and then
I don't know that you have that in you as a collector and as a designer of some truly unique and amazing pieces. That bow tie, by the way, is amazing. I mean, it is a bow tie made of wood with the bow tie kind of wrapped around it. It's super cool. Again, I'll encourage everybody and keep your eyes and ears open. Artsmansport.com, and really, really excited to see where all of this is going. It's gone incredible places already. I love as I said at the start, the uniqueness to it. And I'm looking forward to you buying me a drink, win or lose. How about that?
That sounds great. I've got a bottle of Blanton's Gold sitting on the shelf, waiting for you.
All right, I will be there to help with that. I'll bring my producer with me. He'll love me forever, and I'm looking forward to it. Chris, thanks so much for spending time on Rounding the Bases. Congrats on all the success and much more to come.
Joel, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been a great experience.
It's around the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg.